Hello my dear friends, you're in the Military Summary channel, and this video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous 12 hours. We have a lot of very interesting updates, so let's start. And first we're going to talk about the United States of America, where the most important updates are coming from. US hits Russian oil in total sanctions yet in bid to give Ukraine Trump's leverage. The US Treasury slapped sanctions on Russian companies Gazprom Neft and Surgutneftegas that explore, produce and sell oil, and 183 vessels that have shipped Russian oil, many of which are in the so-called shadow fleet of aging tankers operated by non-Western companies. They also include networks that trade the petroleum. The logic of the sanctions is very simple, is to hit every stage of the Russian oil production and distribution chain. So this is very important, and obviously this is the hottest attack on the Russian positions in the world. And another important thing, that this attack is mainly targeted not the Russia and Putin himself. Mainly these sanctions are against Trump, because obviously due to the current situation and statements that were made by Trump and Putin that they are ready to begin negotiations, that they're ready to make the relations between Russia and the United States of America are better. This is going to be very difficult to lift all these sanctions, and according to information we have, Trump will need to get approval from Congress if he wants to lift sanctions against Russia after coming to power. The White House said obviously even if Trump is able to lift the sanctions, it will require time, and nobody knows what exactly is going to happen during this period of time. Now let's move further and let's discuss the situation in Europe. We have a lot of very interesting updates. Everybody in the world is ready that most likely the United States of America is going to start supporting Ukraine, and we see that European countries in Ukraine are creating something like separate bloc, separate alliance without the United States of America. They have already created the rules they are following with the purpose to support Ukraine, to stop the Russians and to counter the United States of America. For example, today Ursula von der Leyen stated that on her official X account posted that European Union has sent so far over 134 billion euros to Ukraine. Significant numbers less than the United States of America, but most likely if the war continues, the numbers sooner or later will be the equal or the same. Furthermore, the European Union will provide support for Ukraine if the United States does not want to help. That was stated by European Foreign Ministry. So we see that despite the fact that most likely the United States of America will try to find a solution with Russians for many questions in the world, Europe will continue war with Russia as long as possible and as long as needed. Another important statement, and probably the most important and the most interesting during the previous 24 hours, we got from Zelensky. Just take a look at this statement, and I would like you to be very clear with this message. The defense coalition we have created will help to reject all US claims to the territories of countries such as Canada and Denmark, Greenland, said Vladimir Zelensky at a meeting with allies in the Ramstein format in Germany. So as you can see, this is the first statement made by the president of Ukraine, where he told that he will not support United States of America and he will be in opposition to the United States of America during Donald Trump. This is very interesting, and probably this is the entire atmosphere that currently is taking place between the European leaders, and this is the reason why Donald Trump and Elon Musk are trying to change the politicals of Europe. They're trying to force Germany to select AfD as the main party in Germany. This is the reason why the United States of America and Elon Musk are trying to force Keir Starmer to leave his position. This is the reason for these entire US activities. Donald Trump understands that he needs Europe despite the fact that there are lots of problems, but to take Europe, first of all, he needs to change people, and most likely this is not going to happen, because we see the creation of completely new alliance on the territory of European Union. This is completely new structure. This is not the same European Union we used to see, for example, in the early 2022. Now let's move further furthermore, we have a very interesting statement made by Biden into the phone conversation with Zelensky, said that the United States will continue to support Ukraine. White House press secretary reported. Furthermore, according to information we have, Ukraine is not ready for negotiations with Russia. That was stated by John Kirby. We see that the Western countries was cut in two, and you know that it's written, the kingdom that's cut in two will never be able to stand on their own legs. So we'll see what is going to be next, but now let's discuss the situation in the Suja direction, where the Russians continue their offensive operation. And according to information we have, during the previous 24 hours, the Russians managed to improve their positions and to get as close as possible to the settlements of Viktorovka, Nikolaevka, Nikolskaya. So we made small adjustments on map based on the reports that were published by neutral mappers. Furthermore, the Russians continue their offensive operation, and today several more sources reported that as a result of offensive operation, the Russians managed to secure several strongholds in the area between the village of Kurilovka and Guyeva. Summarizing everything that we are receiving right now from different sources, there are very heavy clashes in the direction of Guyeva, but it's very interesting and very weird that we're not receiving any updates from this territory. I'm talking about map changes or any geolocations. As for the northern Kupiansk direction, today the Russians managed to improve their positions in the northern part of Dvorichne. At least this information was provided us by neutral mappers. Now let's move further and let's discuss the situation in the Chasiv Yar direction, where the Russians continue holding the Ukrainian positions in cauldrons on the territory of the industrial zone and in the territory of the micro district of Novo and the forest. The Ukrainians during the previous 24 hours made more attempts to counterattack the Russian positions, but most of them were repelled. Furthermore, according to different mappers, the Russians also managed to improve their positions on the Ukrainian side of the Seversky Donetsk-Donbass canal and to take additional fortifications on the complete control. So we see that the Russians every single day are improving their positions on the Ukrainian side. This is obviously the beginning of the end, because now the Russians have a very powerful foothold they can use to concentrate forces and to continue advancing further in the direction of Konstantinovka. As I understand, the battle for Konstantinovka will be fast lightning, very unexpected, and the Russians most likely will be able to get significant results in this area, because the Ukrainians will not be able to hold the Russians. Now let's discuss the situation in the city of Toretsk. We don't have any changes on the ground, but for example, today neutral mappers confirmed that the city of Toretsk was captured almost completely by the Russians, and today on the 11th of January we got the first video from the northern part, from the mine on the northern part of the city of Toretsk. In this video we can see how the Russian soldier was taking off Ukrainian flag and how he was replacing Ukrainian flag with the Russian flag. This situation took place exactly in this area, and this is another proof that the Russians managed to reach the northern outskirts of the settlement. Most likely the Ukrainians still control the situation on the territory of the mine of Toretsk, but it's just a matter of days, of several days, when the Ukrainians would be forced to fall back from this area as well. Now let's move further and let's discuss the situation in the Pokrovsk direction. The Russians are attacking the Ukrainian positions in the direction of the settlement of Udachne, and the Russians are trying to attack the Ukrainian positions in the area of Uspenovka. There are very heavy clashes, and according to pro-Ukrainian sources, as a result of those clashes, the Russians managed to improve their positions and to take several more strongholds of the armed forces of Ukraine. Currently, when talking about the Kurakhova direction or the direction of Andreevka fortified area, according to information we have, the Russians managed to break through the Ukrainian positions, and currently the Russians are advancing in the middle between the settlement of Ukrainka and Andreevka fortified area by taking more and more territories under complete control. The pro-Russian, this information was confirmed both by pro-Russian resources, by neutral resources, and once again both by pro-Russian resources. Huge breakthrough was recorded in this area, and the main purpose of the Russians in this direction is to cut the road between the settlement of Yasenevo and the Andreevka fortified area, and after that to continue advancing further in the direction of Constantinople and the western outskirts of Andreevka, with the purpose to create another cauldron for the armed forces of Ukraine. Very difficult and complicated situation. The Ukrainians haven't managed to escape one cauldron. Now there are very high chances they will get into another one. one. As for the settlement of Velyka Novosilka and the Velyka Novosilka direction, the front line started moving in this area. I'll remind you that the last report from the village of Velyka Novosilka we got probably in 2024 in the late December, and then there was a very long operational pause that ended just probably yesterday. Operational pause took around 2 or 3 weeks. The Russians were regrouping, the Russians were preparing the plans before further offensive operation, and today a lot of Russian resources, several Russian independent resources reported that as a result of clashes, the armed forces of Russian Federation managed to establish complete control over the settlement by the name of Niskuchna. We are waiting for geolocations, we are waiting for Minister of Defense report, but if this information is correct, then this means that the Russians began the last offensive operation with the purpose to first secure the village of Niskuchna, then the village of Vremivka, and then the battle for Velyka Novosilka will be finished with a significant number of Ukrainian prisoners of war and maybe losses. Furthermore, according to information we have and according to the geolocations we received during the previous night, most likely the Russians will also attack not just the village of Niskuchna and Vremivka, most likely the Russians are going to attack from the village of Blagodatne in the direction of the southern part of Velyka Novosilka. This is the best positions for offensive when talking about security. The Russians, let's say, semi-encircle this area. Less Ukrainian activities is available in this area. Ukrainians most likely will fight without drones, without anything, without vehicles. Going to be just light infantry, whose main purpose would be just to win some time, and this defense of this part of Velyka Novosilka will collapse very fast. Furthermore, the Russians continue improving their positions in the direction of Novosilka. According to pro-Ukrainian sources, during the previous 24 hours, the Russians managed to take few more tree lines and forest belts under complete control. So we see that the Russians began the battle for Velyka Novosilka yesterday, and most likely during the next 5-6 days we're going to receive a lot of updates from this territory, and most likely then the village of Velyka Novosilka would be captured by the Russians completely. And most likely the fall of Velyka Novosilka most likely will take place right before or during the Trump's inauguration. And that's it for the short video. Military Summary channel reminds we condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, join my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.